In 1960, girls basketball was played 3-on-3 half court. 3 forwards and 3 guards, 3 forwards and 3 guards. You did not cross that middle line. That was about as much as I knew at the time. Boys, however, played full court, all of that, and you know that it changed. Well, I was in about the 7th grade, and I was very focused on becoming a majorette. And the only way I knew about majorettes was to watch the UT football games on TV. My brothers would watch it, and the only thing I was interested in was not the football game. I was interested in halftime and the majorettes when they come out to do their thing. I watched it. I tried to get it all in my head. And I just knew if I saw enough of that, I could eventually become a majorette. That was my main goal in life, was to become a majorette. So I was right there in front of the TV watching, trying to pick up everything I could. Well, in 8th grade, or did I tell you I was in the 7th? It really doesn't matter. I had an unusual thing happen to me. There were about 10 of us in the 7th grade, only about 10 of us. We were in a 3-room school, and in that classroom there were 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So there was about 10 of us in 7th grade. Mr. Hubert Green was the principal and my teacher during that time. He was a stern man. He took learning very seriously. And he took basketball very seriously too. We had, for probably about 20 years, the best boys and girls basketball team in the whole county. We won the tournament every year, largely because of Mr. Hubert Green and one other family that happened to have 14 kids. And they stayed both the boys and the girls' team. You know, had it not been for that family, we probably couldn't have done it. So, Mr. Hubert Green came to me, and in his stern, serious voice, he said, "Patsy, I want you to be on the basketball team." What? I didn't know a thing about basketball. I absolutely knew nothing about it. I would watch it sometimes at recess, but if I found something else more important, I would rather do that than to watch anybody play basketball, boys or girls. And you know what? I don't know what came over me that day, but when he asked me, for some reason, what came out of my mouth was, "Sure." I haven't a clue why I said sure. So we got out there and he said, "Now, Patsy, what do you know about basketball?" And I said, "Nothing." He said, "Can you dribble?" I said, "No, because every time I've tried it, it hits my shoe and rolls off." He said, "Can you shoot?" And I said, "No, I can't even get it up to the goal." He said, "Can you run?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm good at that." He said, "Well, that's where we'll start." We got out there for about 15-20 minutes during that recess, and he worked exclusively with me, trying to teach me how to dribble, trying to teach me how to shoot, trying to give me a few clues on some of the rules. He was trying to give me all he could. So, season started, and he said to me, "Now, Patsy, you're not going to have a big part to play." He said, you will largely sit on the bench. He said, "You will sit on the bench, but that'll be good." He said, "Now, Patsy, if I do have to put you in, I'm going to put you in if the score's very far ahead and there's no damage you can do." I was fine with that. We got down to the last game. We were winning, and we were ahead. First by 10 points, then 15 points, and 20 points. And right then and there is when Mr. Hubert Green turned to me. He was sitting on one end of the bench, I was on the other, and he said, Patsy, you're going in. Lord, it was my worst nightmare. My absolute worst nightmare. He was going to put me in. Well, Margie kept scoring, and the score got even worse. I mean, better, yeah. Got much better. And I knew I was going in. But I was sitting there praying that somebody would break a leg or something would happen so that I wouldn't have to go in. Or all of a sudden the other team would start. I was praying for the other team. Maybe they could come in and, make it close and I wouldn't have to go in. But none of that happened. A timeout was called and he pointed at me and said, "You're in. Get out there and do something." That's exactly what he said. Get out there and do something. Well, I knew what I was supposed to do, but somewhere things kind of changed between the bench and me getting out there. Because when that play started, all I could remember was my majorette routine that I had kind of memorized and worked on. So I was out there doing my thing with my baton. I was twirling my baton. I was throwing it up. The whistle blew, and we won. We won, and I came off of that court, and I looked like I had run a 5K race. I was sweating like crazy. I was out of breath, and I really didn't want to talk to nobody, okay? I was afraid somebody would bring up that majorette routine. I celebrated with everybody, and we got ready to go off to the dressing rooms to change clothes. I was so proud of our team and so ashamed of my own behavior, and I knew somebody surely saw it. And as we were walking along, I heard familiar footsteps behind me. I knew they were Mr. Hubert Green's footsteps, and I just kind of tucked my head down. And he said, "Not bad, Patsy. Not bad." There was this long pause, and I hoped he'd walk away, but he didn't. He kept walking with me. He said, "Yep, you reminded me of a windmill in a bad windstorm." And today, I still have Mr. Hubert Green to thank for teaching me how to survive in a high-pressure situation. And that's learning basketball.